Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Phil Risher, and on today's episode, we're going to be discussing how to grow your business using effective processes with Christine Hodge. Christine, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So Christine is the CEO at Clearview Washing in New Jersey. You have a team of about like 20 techs, I think, and you're doing around $2 million in revenue.
Yep.
We're a part of the Jobber fam together. We've been on the Jobber podcast. We did an episode recently that came out, and we're doing a live event actually coming up. And your moniker, the Process CEO.
Yes.
So you have a lot of great stuff to share. Cool. So in preparation for this episode, I listened to some podcasts that you were recently on, and you joined your husband's company 6 years ago. Can you talk a little bit about how he started the company, where the company's at, what's going on, and then from that point forward, we'll talk about kind of what you've been implementing in the business.
Sure. So my husband and his father founded the company back in 2004. And he was studying entrepreneurship at Rowan University. It was their first entrepreneurship program that they were rolling out. And he basically had a class project about how to just create a business, like just create a business plan and things like that. At that weekend, his parents hired a window washing company, and that company did not show up to do the work. So he was like, let me write a business plan on window washing as my school project. And, then his dad saw the business plan and his dad was like, we should really do this. And they kind of ran with it. Since then, it really became a family business. His father left his job and joined. His mother left her job and joined. His brother was with us for a while. Now he has his own home service company. So, and then I joined.
Yeah.
And I joined very organically. It wasn't even a discussion. It wasn't something that was planned. I wanted to leave my corporate job and be a stay-at-home mom. And over dinners and stuff, when our daughter was first born, I just became very organically involved in problem solving with him. So if he had any issues, I would talk through it. If he was trying to figure out how things should go or how to get all the phone calls answered or just process related things, I kind of took my corporate structured background and implemented it into his company. And then like a year after that, he was like, I think you should be the CEO. And a funny story about the CEO thing, which I've shared in the past, is it's very strategic because to have a president and co-founder as a male and a CEO as a female attracts both audiences of who people want to work with. So that's how I joined.
Yeah, definitely. I think that it's very interesting because especially in the home service space, usually there's a stay-at-home mom in affluent communities that's kind of running point on things that they're going to be there. And so you can design a brand and a customer experience around that part of it.
Yeah,
Straight through
exactly.
your process. Yeah.
Exactly. There's an audience for everybody, and we want to also cater to property managers and large commercial. And I just know, and I'm not offended, but like I know that property managers don't prefer to deal with me. They prefer to deal with, some don't even want to deal with my husband, Freddie. They want to deal with a more senior, somebody who looks like they've been in the industry for longer, because we don't look like we've been in the industry for very long. So
Bring in his dad.
that's when we bring in his dad. So we're able to cater to so many different audiences based on our strengths.
Yeah, very cool. So 6 years ago, you came in, you're sitting over dinner, and he's like, my CSRs aren't answering the phone, or I'm missing out on these leads. And you're like, I think I could help you solve that problem.
Yeah.
So what were some of the initial like heartburns that he was having, and maybe some of the solutions that you've seen to make a big result?
I would say that the biggest was when and how to grow. So at that point, he was still in the field. He was still answering the calls. He was still doing estimates. His mom was still working for another company. So basically the company would take voicemails throughout the day if he missed the call. And then his mom would come home from work and make phone calls in the evening. So we were kind of like, where do we start? What do we start with? Well, we have to hire an admin because we don't want to miss phone calls and miss opportunities. So I helped him with growth. The next, after the admin, it's like, okay, I'm doing all these jobs. It's me and one other person. But now we have we're missing less opportunities because someone's answering the phones. What's next? Okay, well, let's start interviewing more field technicians. And so, that's where I like started creating, like I was playing with the hiring process and bringing on good people. And like, so that became really a passion of ours is, okay, I think that we can teach anyone to power wash, but how do we bring on the right people? Because this is a family business. We're all in.
Yeah.
So we started hiring field techs. Well, now Freddie and his dad are both maxed out in quotes. What do we do? Are we like big enough to hire a sales rep? I don't know. Let's try it. So then we bought on a sales rep. So we really started with how to strategically grow the business in a healthy way.
Yeah, I think something that I've heard you mention before, but I'm very curious to get, well, I heard your husband mention it before, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on it, was a yearly focus of growth, but then also maintaining your profit margin. Because I think as you scale into the million, into 1 million, you start to, when you start, you're making 100,000, 200,000 as an owner, then you have to take 50, 100,000 and pay someone as a rep. And you're like, well, that's directly out of my pocket.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to step back to hopefully step forward. Is that kind of the decision making process that y'all were going through and trying to maintain your profit margin at specific times?
Yes. So when I first joined, looking at the P&L at the end of the year um, was like scary because we're like, oh my gosh, we worked so hard for essentially a break even.
Yeah.
So how do we strategically grow? So that's
Mm,
where we decided, and we're very conscious of it, that we alternate years.
mm,
So 1 year, we know that we're getting the phone calls, we have the leads, but we don't have enough crews. So we'll invest in one or two trucks, invest in more sales reps and more field technicians. And that's a growth year. And we know that our net is going to be lower that year. And we increase prices every year. But like the next year, we'll do like a higher price increase. And like last year, we did a 15% price increase. And we
mm-hmm,
did that so that this year we can buy two new trucks and add them
mm,
to the fleet. So every year we alternate. 1 year we like ride steady, save our money, make sure that we have a healthy net profit and go with what we have. And then that like December or following January, we're like, all right, we did great. We had a healthy profit and loss statement. Let's invest this year. Our net's going to be lower this year, but this is going to boost us into next year. Do you know what I mean?
absolutely. It's being very specific about I'm going to keep some money back to build up my reserves, but then I'm going to deploy that over here because I'm feeling this pinch on the sales side or the operation side. And one of the big things I think that I've experienced this in my business, and I think a lot of business owners, is once you delegate the funds to a marketing budget or to a sales rep budget or something like that, it almost feels natural in the business. You feel more comfortable. The initial thing is tough to do, but then as you see you're actually building out these different buckets, whether it's this person or this person, you already have the funds assigned to it. And I
Yes.
think that's what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have to create a few years of like a track record so you know where your trends lie. We know that we operate great between a 3 and a 5 marketing budget, 3 and a 5%
Percent.
marketing
Yeah.
budget. That's comfortable with us. Um, Depending on where we fall at the end of the year, we might say next year, I think we have some room to do 6 or 7%. So we've learned our trend and we know what works for us and what doesn't.
Yeah. So 6 years ago, one of the big things was helping with the phones. I can almost hear people saying, okay, well, I don't even know my numbers. And like, I'm a sales guy. Like, I love the sales. I'm the operations. I don't have time to go and look at my numbers. Like, how did you help with that? Are there specific processes or dashboards that you've built out, or how? I'm sure trying maybe to get your husband to like sit down. Here's their numbers. Here's where we're at. Like, this is what we need to do. What's that been like? How have you come up with that?
That was my favorite part of the job because I'm so process oriented. My first task with Clearview, was getting a CRM because everything was
Mm,
done on paper. It was paper
mm,
invoices, paper scheduling, everything, paper notes. So once we got onto Jobber, I was then like, okay, now we're creating data. What can I do with this data? And that moved us into QuickBooks. So we have everything synced into QuickBooks. Now I have like my QuickBooks built out. I stay on top of my P&L. Every Monday I do Money Mondays. So from 9 to 11, like it's carved out that I'm like analyzing our books, looking at bills, stuff like that. So it keeps me on track to do my Money Mondays. So one of the first processes was really making sure that we're collecting the right data, and then we're using it. So I think that a lot of people use Jobber or another CRM, and I don't think they're doing anything with their data.
You're right.
So you have all of this valuable data. You're already talking to the customer. You're already emailing with them. You're interacting with them through your website or some sort of chat. Make sure that you're collecting data to A, use for marketing in the future, B, use for follow-up sequences. So you service a customer or you don't service a customer. How do we keep engaging with that person? I haven't run this report in a while, but I want to say that our jobber client list is somewhere between 17 and 20,000.
Hmm.
So that's a lot of, like, you always want to get new leads, right? But how
Yeah.
do you re-engage with the people that have already reached out to you? Like that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, so that was very important for us, is creating a follow-up sequence and then using our data to so that monetarily we can properly grow in a healthy way.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you have a like a dashboard that you made, or is it just like an Excel spreadsheet and you kind of like pull these numbers and put them into this, or what have you found on those Money Mondays is the best way?
We have a dashboard, so I extract the data from Jobber,
Hmm.
and that goes into a dashboard so that I can see the percentage of commercial work versus residential work. I track the sales representative for each closed job so that we can do like sales rep commissions.
Hmm.
And we track our lead source, which is
Mm.
very important. So we know, I know to the dollar, like how much money we're spending on Google AdWords versus, what it's generating. So um, those are the three key points of data that we extract and I analyze on Mondays into our dashboard.
Awesome. Is that dashboard built on like something like Power BI or some other tool, or is it an Excel spreadsheet
I
thing?
am dying to learn Power BI. That's like
Okay.
a goal of mine. I keep
Yeah.
playing with it, but I haven't had the time to really. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll want to talk about it later. But it just seems so cool. I just don't know how to use it. But it's currently built on an Excel spreadsheet,
Yeah.
and it's updated daily. We have a VA who extracts the data for us and updates it daily. And then on my Mondays, it's like really a quality check, an analysis, a data analysis. I used to do the updating, and then as I grow and become a better leader, I am learning that I have to get out of the weeds and delegate. And that was one of the
Yeah.
things that we recently delegated.
That's nice. I'm sure it frees you up. But who, not how. That's the whole
Yeah.
thing. I love it. So at this point, people that are listening are probably like, "Well, how do I find a Christine?" My wife is not into the business much. Have people asked you that? Like, well, who could help me with this? Because I like the sales. Is it like do you just find an office manager, or is there someone else that you? How does?
Honestly, what we've done and what I've taught other people to do is to write down all of the roles and responsibilities. So, like, as the owner, what do you feel? What are you doing as the owner? And start there. What are things you should be doing as an owner, like your Money Mondays or your data analysis or your marketing analysis? Then write that down. Write down everything that you're doing, everything that you need to do, and if you do have anyone on staff, what they're doing, and then place them into buckets. So, like, we did it as a post-it exercise. We actually posted, like, okay, I need an admin to do this for me.
Mhm.
I need them to answer phones, schedule requests, schedule jobs, do follow-ups, whatever. I need a sales rep to do this, and that'll take 10 tasks off of my husband's list. These are all the things that I manage. And then I did this exercise literally this past winter. I wrote down all the things that I'm doing and all the tasks that I shouldn't be doing. So there were
Mhm.
some tasks on there that were $15 to $20 per hour tasks. I need to elevate what I'm doing for this company to continue to grow. So I have to retain my time by offloading these tasks onto a VA or somebody else. So that's the exercise that we do all the time. It's not a one-time thing, because as you grow, there's more and more that needs to be done. And we like joke around, like, more money, more problems. Like, it's true. There's more. There are, there are just things that you have to deal with the larger that you grow. And if you do this exercise, I would say once a year in your slow season, it'll keep you on track to stay laser focused on what can I do to grow this business and what can someone else help me with to grow this business.
Yes. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think a lot of times business owners, they're like, they are the best salesperson. They have you can look in the whites in their eyes and they can speak with conviction because they have, they started the company. And so if that is what you're the best at and you like to do it,
Mhm.
then focus on that, but then get everything else off your plate. I think
Yeah.
that's really important. Have you read the book Traction?
Yes.
Yeah.
Love
So
that
would you say that he's a visionary and you're the integrator, or how do
Yeah.
you?
So he's the visionary. I'm the integrator, implementer, and then I'm a perfectionist, and he makes things happen. So
Mm,
once he gives me the project, I do it, resolve it, create it, process it, whatever it is. And then he's like, all right, you're done. Like, come on, let's roll this out. So
mm,
it's the whole yin and yang thing is real between us because I would sit on something until it's perfect, 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 and that could take years. And he's like, "No, no, no, we got to move on to the next thing. Let's roll this
yeah.
out. It's great."
Yeah, that's so good. I know a lot of business owners that they read Traction and they're like, "Well, where do I find my integrator?" That's great, but like,
Yeah,
who do I bring in? How do I trust them? And
yeah,
the one really interesting dynamic is that y'all are husband and wife. So
mhm.
I can already hear people saying, "Oh my gosh, well, if my wife came and worked here, this would be crazy," or my husband even at that.
Yeah.
So can you kind of speak to that relationship and how you have been successful and helped grow? I think since you've come on board, you've grown like 200, 300% the business is,
A
or
crazy
something
number,
crazy.
maybe
Yeah.
more. Yeah,
Yeah. Maybe even more. So can
yeah.
you speak to that? Because I think that's a really good nugget to take away.
We are fixers by nature. It's in both of our personalities. And when we would, argue before bed, like I would bring up, something with payroll at 10 p.m. and then he'd get so mad, early on. Or vice versa. Like I'll be like ready to go to sleep and then he'll check an email and he'll be like, we killed a whole row of hydrangeas at this luxury home, And I'm like, I don't want to deal with that right now. Like there's just so we were like, this is not going to work and we have to
Mm,
find a way to fix it. So we did make a rule that when our workday ends, it ends.
mm,
We, over the last few years bought in a field operations manager. His workday doesn't end until the field crews are done.
mm,
And then if anything needs to be escalated to us, it can be. But for us, our number one priority is our family. And when he's home from work, we're done with work. We're not
mm,
dealing with it. We don't check emails in bed. His laptop doesn't come to bed. If he chooses to check his emails and he wants to and he finds a complaint, he can't tell me about it until the next day when I'm in the office.
yeah.
Another rule is we have a family group chat. So it's like me, his mom, his dad, his brother, him. And that group chat, it's like we would share like photos of the kids.
Mm,
And then like, somebody would like share something terrible and it would be like 9 p.m. on a Friday night and it would be business related.
yeah.
And we used to both just get so flustered because this is your livelihood. Like, this is our source of income. So you can't help but care. Like, if you get a 1-star review, it's like in your mind, it's easy to say, I don't care, but you care. And then you want to respond. And like, so anyway, there is no business texting on the family group chat on our cell phones anymore. So we got Slack
Mm,
and all anything that's like a text message, like you want a response from, it has to go through Slack and everyone in our company is on it. And I can choose to check it or not. But if I'm off the clock, I'm not checking it until I'm back in. If
yes.
something's an emergency, they can call me. And most things are not an emergency, right?
Yeah.
And then everything else has to be sent to our emails. We all have an email address, a Clearview Washing email address, and it has to come in emails because what's that saying? Like, your emergency is not my priority.
Yeah.
Like it's not, I don't have to feel urgent because it's on you. So we had to shift the family dynamic and it took like 2 years. But now it's fantastic because our family group chat is all fun and family. And then,
Mm,
like, if his mom wants to work at 10 p.m. on a Thursday night, she can. And then I'll just check the email in the morning.
yes.
But creating boundaries like that in our marriage and with the rest of the family is super important. Otherwise, we would be at it all the time.
Yeah, I can I can only imagine, like, it's not even just you and your husband, but then you have in-laws and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, all these people. So like so many people are affected by a 1-star review. So
Yes.
I can only imagine the boundaries that you would need. And it sounds like, I mean, 2 years to build those up, but I could see how that would be so helpful. Like, don't check your emails at night, or don't bring it up to me if you don't want to. Like all that stuff, I think is really good. And even if your spouse doesn't work with you, I think there's a layer to like having some free days
Yeah.
to be able to like just think in your mind and come up with new ideas and not have to like be working, working, working.
Yeah. Another boundary that was huge is amongst the family, we wrote out our roles and responsibilities
mm,
because everything was so family oriented that, like, if we did get a 1-star review or a callback, it would go to the whole family and everyone would start working to rectify it. And
yes.
that's counterproductive because then A, everyone's stressed out, and B, like everyone's doing the same thing and different things. And so we just said, like, that's not your problem. That's not your problem. That's not your problem, but it's your problem. Like, you deal with the callbacks. You deal directly with sales. You deal directly with the crews. So we've been great at like staying, we say, like, stay in your lane. Like, you really have to stay in your lane and trust that your family member or partner or spouse is going to stay in their lane and do their job at full force. And another thing is, if you feel that that role can't be done by that family member or spouse or partner, whatever it is, you have to feel comfortable in saying, like, that's not the role for you. Because
Yeah.
if I can't trust, like, I fully trust Freddie to make all marketing decisions in the company, lead generation, deal with the sales team. Like, there's not a doubt in my mind that he's not gonna, and then he fully trusts me in implementing processes. So, like, I don't have to run any of that by him because he knows that I'm the best fit for this role.
Yes.
But what if I wasn't? Maybe I wasn't. So maybe my role would have ended at answering the phones for him and logging, you know what I mean? So, like,
Yeah.
maybe I would have been best as an office manager, and that's okay. But if spouses are choosing to go into business together, they have to discuss those things up front to make sure that it's a good fit.
Yeah. Man, you definitely could write a whole book on this.
I might one day.
Yes. Um, all right, switching gears a little bit. So y'all do a lot of different services under the Clearview Washing brand, I would say. Can you speak to, I don't know if you added new divisions since you came on, or what that process looks like, and maybe talk to the different types of services that y'all do, because to me, that seems very difficult. But maybe that you have a process for adding in, when should we add this? How do we add this? That type of thing.
Absolutely. It started off as a window washing company back in the day. When I joined, he was already doing other services: gutter cleaning, roof cleaning, soft washing, and flat surface cleaning. And essentially, a service is added when we feel like it'll complement what we're already doing.
Mhm.
So if we get enough requests where a customer says, like, oh, do you also do shrink wrapping? Do you shrink wrap patio furniture? And it's like, after a few years of no, we don't, eventually we're like, yes, we do. Like, we see that we are going to be profitable in this area because we've researched the supplies and materials we need. It's easily trainable, and we've had enough demand, or essentially like lead generation
Yeah.
on it. And that's how we decide to add a service. But we are not willing to add services that we don't feel complement what we're already doing. So it's been recommended to us by so many different people that in the winter, to keep our guys busy, we clean out like washing machine and dryer filters and air ducts and something with like a refrigerator or something. And we're like, that doesn't fit what we
Yeah.
vision. Like, that's not exterior cleaning. We want to stay as exterior cleaning. So we don't have other divisions. We have Clearview Washing, and then for commercial work we have the Clearview Washing commercial division,
Mm.
and that's where we do like high rise and like other, services. Not other services, but like high rise window washing. We have a subcontractor for, and commercial work. But I we don't believe in putting your eggs in too many different baskets. We feel like you should be the best in your area. And there's so many, you and I have talked about this, like there's so many clients, like there are so many people in your area that you can capture. So I think like until you've taken over an area, maybe then when you're maxed out, you can say, okay, maybe now it's time to add a service. But I wouldn't just add services because random people are asking. It has to fit the whole vibe of your company.
Yeah, I agree. And it makes sense when you said the exterior washing, because all those things are exterior washing and they might be a little different here, a little bit different there, but overall, you're still washing the exterior of something. And
Yeah.
there's water involved and pressure, I guess, in some
Yeah.
capacities.
I
Yeah.
mean, a service that we added, I want to say like 6 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, he added, but it's luxury chandelier cleaning.
Hmm.
But it's because we do window washing in and out, and
Mm,
it's essentially the same as window washing interior,
mm,
in terms of like solutions and stuff. You're not squeegeeing, but like, um, with like whatever you use to clean the inside of a window can still be used to clean the chandelier. So we decided to try that out, and because it's such a luxury service,
yeah.
we can charge a premium price for it. So we don't do a crazy amount of them, but the ones that we do and we market it, it is the luxury client who's willing to spend a
Exactly.
crazy amount of money to keep their chandeliers cleaned.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, very interesting. And then you get in there and then you get all the other services and you get a nice big house or
Yeah.
something. So,
Yeah.
s- so when you came on, were you mostly residential and then you started to switch to commercial, or how did you make that decision, or what does that look like?
It was mostly residential. And we found that if we send a crew to more than 3 residential jobs in a day, we start to lose profit,
Mm,
because with the drive time and then it pushes them into overtime. Even if you keep them close, just naturally with loading and unloading at more than 3 different locations, we would lose money. So what's the solution? Large luxury residential or multi-day commercial, where like the crew is guaranteed to go to one place and spend the whole day there, and for multiple days is even better. So we made it a priority to build up our SEO and our marketing to attract the attention of, you know, commercial solar panel cleaning, solar farms, building cleanings. Our whole crew is lift certified, so we can go up on a lift up to like 5 stories or something. Our water fed poles for window washing go up to 5 stories. We have a wonderful subcontractor for anything higher than that. So we learned that we can create large margins in commercial. And that's why we decided to. So we service more residential customers per year, but
mhm.
monetarily, we make more in, yeah, gross revenue through commercial work.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I heard Freddie mention that you guys set a goal for 70%
Mm-hmm.
commercial, 30%
70/30.
residential.
Yep.
Yeah. And that was kind of like the big driving. Was that this year or last year was like the big driving force or
That was last year, and we
okay.
came in, I want to say, at like 64% commercial. So we're like, each year we're like going up and up,
Yeah.
which is wonderful. And learning, you know, if you have really strong subcontractors, that's wonderful additional revenue, because you can create your own margins on
Yeah.
those jobs and not use your resources or your employees. So um, thankfully, we've built a really good relationship with some window washers.
Yeah. So you mentioned about SEO and marketing for the commercial side. Do you have a person that's like a salesperson for the commercial work, or is it just coming naturally?
We have a salesperson for
Okay.
commercial work. He goes out. So residentially, we give the residential sales team the leads,
Yeah.
but on the commercial end, we give them leads if they come in, but they also go out and get leads. LinkedIn is like the best resource. So they're very, very active. They're like they're like famous on LinkedIn, actually. Everyone
Very
knows
cool.
him. So we actually promoted him to the manager of the sales team this year, our
Wow.
commercial sales rep, because he's just so strong in building relationships, and he wants to grow his managerial skills, and he has such a bright future ahead of him, and any opportunity that he wants, we fully support it. So he
Very cool.
goes to lots of shows, he goes to expos, and he's really doing a good job in building new relationships.
Yeah, that's so awesome. So many we do marketing consulting. So many times people are like, "Well, I want these big fish. I want these commercial jobs. Like, can't you just do some SEO and get us these commercial leads?" And it's like, you can do that, but there's a layer to the relationship and to the hunt of going who's a decision maker, putting in a bid, like all that stuff goes into it. It's not as simple as a residential person just, "Oh, who can I get to wash my windows today on Google or
Yeah.
something?" And so I think that's so good. So with I just want to ask a couple questions about this. So with this commercial guy,
Mhm.
did you find him and then kind of like mold him into this LinkedIn all-star, or how did this all
Um,
come about? Because a lot of people are looking for this exact thing.
yes. So we thought that we should get on, like, where do you find property managers? Property managers are, it's a lot different than a resident posting on Facebook saying,
Exactly.
do you have anyone to wash my windows? Property managers are on LinkedIn. They're not on social media, on Facebook, looking for, like, hey, do you have anyone to clean this 50,000 square foot building? Like, they're
Yeah.
not posting that on Facebook. So anyway, we found him through a group, and he was looking to leave his current position,
Mm.
and he just like asked some questions, and we like got to know him. I think my father-in-law is the one who actually got to know him. And then I guess whenever he decided to leave his role, he had reached out, and then we officially interviewed him, and we
Yeah.
followed our interview process, and we wanted to give him a chance, and we did that, and he's been great. We built out his LinkedIn with him.
Okay.
We joined some organizations like community associations institute, and like a lot of property management group associations, um, some like apartment association. Like we join associations because the return on investment has been huge for us.
Mm. So,
And
so this is
he's
off LinkedIn. You'll join the associations, then he can go and do like lunch and learns,
exactly.
mingle, all that kind of stuff, and
Yep.
building the relationship with property managers, and then get the referrals in. But then he can connect with those same people on LinkedIn
Yep.
and post and that kind of stuff. That's where you're referring to.
Exactly, exactly. And then they all become friends, and they're, golf outings, and he goes to the golf outings, and we donate, and um, there's one of those, the CAI one, they like wrap gifts for kids every winter, like before Christmas. So like we hosted their property managers to like bring all the gifts to the Clearview shop, and that's where they did the wrapping this year. And Jose organized it. So it really is all about relationship building and building trust. And earlier in this chat, you had said, like, how do people find the next Christine, for example? Like, how do you trust somebody? But it's when you do write out those roles and responsibilities, you have to have a hiring process so strong that, like, you're not going to be able to trust anyone. You're going to have a few fails and a few flops, and that's just the reality of entrepreneurship. But like, every single person that works for us, from sales to the field, we trust wholeheartedly with our company. So like, he's just like a rock star, and like, so we've invested our trust and our time into building him up, and he's taken it and run with him because this is what he wants his future to look like. And so you really have to sell your company as somebody who, like, I want to trust you, but you can trust us that we're going to support your development.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. I had Mike McAllowicks on, and he was talking about his book All In, and he said, if your employees are not going to go all in unless you go all in on them.
Yes.
And it can be scary because what if they break your heart or they break your trust, and then you got to go to the next person and go all in again on them. It's like, a marriage almost at a certain point of
Yeah.
trust. Um, can you speak to some of the hiring processes? Like how are you distilling these people down? Is it Are they doing it day shadowing or what are some of those things?
The hiring process is pretty intricate, and we've hired a lot through Indeed. We also have an employee referral program. So our employees, if they bring someone on and they stay with us for 60 consecutive days, they get a $300 bonus.
Mm.
And so our employees are rock stars. So like, we trust when they bring somebody on. We do a 2-week trial. So it's essentially they go right into the training program. We have a lead trainer, and after that training, after that 2-week training, they even like along the way, like sometimes like 3 or 4 days in, our lead trainer will say like, it's not going to work out with this guy. We trust him. Like, I don't have to double check that. They're out. Hire slow, fire fast, right?
Yeah.
So we have this process built out. And then after the 2 weeks, he'll say, like, we've touched every service with him. He's going to be a strong employee. We can send him out into the field. And then we send him out into the field. This year we hired 7 or 8 field technicians. Like, we had extreme growth this year, which was
Hmm.
great. And we got new trucks and stuff. And the training program, so the hiring process in conjunction with the training program is like really leading us into success. And throughout the hiring process, we do a phone interview. This is for sales too, but we'll do a
Yeah.
phone interview and then a face-to-face interview, and we call references for everybody. Because at some point along the way, I would say 90% of the time, you're going to find a hiccup and
Yeah.
learn that that's not the right person for you. But if they get through all the way to the end, if you follow your own process, a phone interview, a scheduled phone interview that they show up, they call or you call them at the right time and they answered, a scheduled in-person interview, and call 2 references, you're likely going to win.
Yes, I agree. I think having some type of a structure is very important. A lot of times business owners, they see someone on Indeed, they're like, "Oh, I love this resume." Then they just call them and then they get so excited and then they bring them into the office and they're showing everyone around, and it's the excitement of like almost like a date or dating experience.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to slow down in the process and have some checks and balances in that process. And it's okay to say no. You should say no more often than you say yes.
Well, that's exactly it, because a lot of people in the home service industry hire out of desperation.
Mm,
So it's like someone quit and you need to get 2 more feet on the ground, and you're just like, just come in and we'll just start you. But
mm.
the reality is you're wasting so much time, money, and resources on bringing in a new person who's not going to work out for more than a week, and then you might have a disaster on a job with this person. So you have to hire slow. You have to create your process and follow your process all the way through, and weed out the ones that are not going to win.
Yeah, that's so good. And one thing I wanted to echo that goes right along with this. You mentioned with the sales rock star that it was almost like a courtship, getting to know each other while they were still at a position. And when they became available to come work with you, it was like, okay, maybe this person's the right fit. I think there's something to be said about having a bench of people that would be curious to work with you. They know about your brand. They like you, almost like you're attracting customers. You're also attracting employees to build a business that they would want to work at.
Exactly. Exactly. Like, everyone is like, what is this prospective employee going to do to win us over? But the real question is, what are you going to do as a business owner to sell your company to a rock star? Because rock stars want to work at a safe place that's going to offer them growth and success. So,
Yes.
like, you have to sell your company. You have to create a space where people want to work.
Yeah. Man, a lot of good nuggets in here. As I wrap up, I have a couple questions just closing us out. What are some of the biggest changes coming in your industry?
That's a good question. Some changes that are coming in our
Like
industry.
AI, automation, you mentioned about the long poles. Are there drones that are going to be cleaning windows or something, or what?
Yeah, the drone thing is like working its way there.
Yeah.
There are drones that are cleaning, I want to say up to 10 stories. The
Mm.
technology is there. I think it's being like fine tuned and perfected at the moment. Um, AI has been huge. Like, I'm loving Chat GPT, and it's just helping us streamline our level of professionalism in communication. So like, every follow-up sequence in communicating with a customer was written by me and then like put into Chat GPT, and then it made me sound so much better. So I uh the person who manages our QuickBooks consultant, I manage it, but like, he helps me when I have questions along the way. And he always says, you are not an exterior cleaning company. You are a technology company that does exterior cleaning.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes us so successful, is technology is now available to us in a way that it wasn't even available to home services when I first joined 6 or 7 years ago. We didn't have half the things that we have now. So the ability to get reviews by, adding on a software, or just quotes and follow-ups. And so the level of technology that we can utilize to differentiate you from the exterior cleaner or the home service business down the street, it should definitely be taken advantage of.
I agree. I think once you get to the 200 or 500,000 revenue mark, around there, where you mastered the service, like you know what a good service is, what a bad service is, you start building those processes, then you really do change to a technology company, automation company, and you have to think about your brand.
Yes.
A lot of times people miss that mark and they keep trying to ram in like we're the best this service, we're the best, which you probably are, but there's so many things that you're missing out from a technology and automation perspective that's really going to scale you.
Absolutely. It all goes back to, once you get to that point in terms of revenue, you need to answer all of your phone calls, and you're going to need technology to help you do that. You're going to need to make sure that you're not missing any calls. You're capturing all people who are on your website. You have to be able to communicate with them.
Yeah. What's the next thing for your business? Are you bringing on other business lines? You go into other locations? You just trying to scale it, sell it, eggs?
Um,
What?
we have a number in mind, so we want to scale to hit this particular
Yeah.
target. But something that is exciting is, we think that we have found a new home for Clearview Washing.
Okay.
So we've been renting, ever since Freddie started the business. He's been
Yeah.
renting and moving to larger units, but it's always been renting. And personal objective of ours was to get into real estate, particularly commercial real estate. So
Yeah.
that's something we're really hyper focused on. And, fingers crossed, everything goes as planned. And then we may have a new home that we actually own within the next few months.
I love that. My mind was absolutely blown when I found out that service businesses buy the building and then rent it back to themselves as
Yep,
the owner, and then they pay down the mortgage, and now they have two assets basically. And
exactly.
also, if they go to sell the business, now they have that rent coming in from that space because it's so tied together.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's just
so good.
another, uh, as business owners, you have to come up with a long term plan. We don't have pension plans and stuff like that. So when
Yeah,
you really start to think about retirement and creating other sources of revenue and income, this might be it
yeah.
for us.
I love it. All right, and then final thing, are there any other podcasts, books, resources that have significantly helped? We mentioned traction, but
Mhm.
like anything else, profit first, or any other things that you implemented in the business that or listen to or read that you
That's
think
a
are
good
really
one. I have all my books behind me. Profit First. Profit First was huge. Traction was huge. I read a book called, I think it's called When, and it's about, it's so good. I have to get you the author. I'll send it to you after this podcast.
okay?
But it's about timing things. And so I've actually moved all of our work meetings, like my sales team meeting, my office meeting, my management meeting, to the mornings, based on the time that your brain is essentially happier. So
Yeah,
that was huge for us and for our company, even though it seems like something so small. And the I have to say, the Jobber Masters of Home Service business, I'm not just saying it because I've been on a couple of episodes, because there are lots of episodes that I was not on. But anytime I have the chance to chat with or listen to any of these other home service owners, and it's just, there's always these like little nuggets that come your way. And in Masters of Home Service, they cover so many topics that I'm learning something from every single podcast that I listen to. And then I go to my husband, I'm like, we have to implement this. And every little step you take, even if it's on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, it's going to get you to where you want to be.
yeah. So good. Yeah. I love, I actually I listened to Masters Home Service the first season.
Uh-huh.
Then magically they asked me to come on to it. And I'm like, wait, I listened to this podcast. Hey, how did I get on this thing? So yeah, there's a lot of great nuggets in there. I have to check out the book When, because I'm big on, yeah, prioritizing your stuff and making sure you have tight scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
Very
It's so
cool. So Christine, thanks so much. This has been great. Where should people get in contact with you and learn about your business and what you do?
Thank you. Yes, please connect with me. I'm on Facebook, The Process CEO, Instagram, The Process CEO, and YouTube. I've been sharing a lot of my process management tools on YouTube at The Process CEO. And you can check out our company, Clearview Washing, on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. We're based in Freehold, New Jersey. And I want to connect with as many people as I can.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being here. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.